AITA for telling my parents I'm not a band-aid for their grief, and they can't slot me into the wanted place, just because their favorite child is dead at my sister's funeral. I'm 18 now, but I've carried this weight for a long time. When I was a kid, I was invisible to my parents, and my 16-year-old sister was the golden child. She could do no wrong in their eyes, and they expected me to fall into line with that. I didn't, and because I didn't, I got left behind. By the time I was 7 or 8, my parents had emotionally checked out of my life, and by the time I was 17, they had flat out told me that they were ashamed of me. It was brutal, but it was the truth. My sister was their favorite, and I was just the kid that didn't fit in. The more I tried to pull away from her shadow, the more they pushed me back into it. I wasn't interested in being a replacement for someone who was treated like a perfect angel, so I stayed distant. Eventually, I ended up living with my maternal grandparents, who noticed how bad things had gotten and took me in. I was 17, almost 18, and just done with trying to earn love from people who had never given it to me. Fast forward a few months and my sister dies. It's tragic, I know, but we weren't close. Honestly, I didn't even know how to feel about it. My parents had alienated me for so long, and my sister had been part of that, even if she wasn't the mastermind behind it. But my maternal grandparents, who had been my lifeline, insisted I needed to go to the funeral. They said it was because she was my sister, and because I needed to support my parents in their grief. I went, mostly out of respect for them. I didn't want to make my grandparents feel like I was completely cutting off my family, even though that was the last thing I wanted to do. I had no idea what to expect when I walked into that funeral, but nothing could have prepared me for how things went down. When I walked into the service, it hit me. My parents were suddenly acting like I was the child they had always wanted. They were acting like everything had been fine between us all these years. They weren't even acknowledging that they'd treated me like dirt. And my sister, the one they had put on this pedestal, was now gone. It was like I was supposed to fill that space. They hadn't spoken to me in years, and now they were trying to cling to me. The whole thing felt fake. It felt like they were using me to patch up the hole that my sister's death had left in their lives. They didn't even consider how much they had hurt me before. They hadn't spoken to me in over a decade except to tell me I wasn't good enough. It wasn't even about my sister anymore. It was about them using me as their emotional crutch. I refused to sit with them during the service. My grandparents kept pushing me to do it, but I didn't want to. It felt like a betrayal of myself, like I'd be erasing all the pain they had caused just because their favorite child was gone. They weren't even looking at the reality of how they had treated me. After the service, when I was just trying to breathe and process everything, they started trying to hug me, to hold me close. They were acting like it was a reunion, like all the years of neglect and hurt didn't matter. It was too much for me. I told them to stop. I tried to shake them off, but they wouldn't let go. Then came the moment I'll never forget. They told me we all needed to grieve my sister together, that this was the time for family. That's when I snapped. I told them I wasn't a band-aid for their grief. I told them they didn't get to slot me into the wanted child place just because my sister was dead. I told them I never should have come, that their love and attention now felt like a fake performance to make themselves feel better. I told them I didn't want their pity, and I definitely didn't want their fake BS. My grandparents lost it. They were furious with me. They said I was disrespecting the family and that I owed them an apology. They kicked me out of the funeral. It was like I had become the villain in the story, and they were all too ready to paint me that way. But the reality is, I was just tired of pretending. Tired of pretending I wasn't hurt. Tired of pretending I was part of a family that had never treated me like one. After I left, my paternal grandparents, who had always been more understanding, offered to let me move in with them. I was going to finish high school, but with everything that had happened, that plan fell apart. But I didn't care. I just needed to get out. I didn't want to be around my maternal grandparents anymore, and I definitely didn't want anything to do with my parents. They didn't deserve me. Now my maternal grandparents have been bombarding me with calls and texts. They want me to apologize, to make peace with my parents, to forgive them. They've been calling me evil and saying I need to show remorse for my behavior at the funeral. They've even tried guilt-tripping me, saying I'm the one causing a rift in the family. It's overwhelming, and honestly, I've had to block them. I just can't take it anymore. They think I should just get over the past and act like everything's fine. My paternal grandparents, on the other hand, have been supportive, saying that my maternal ones have always coddled my mom and that it's no surprise they do it now. They see how much I've suffered, and they don't blame me for what I said at the funeral. But here's the thing. I can't help but wonder if I went too far. Was I wrong for calling out my parents at such a vulnerable time? Should I have just swallowed my feelings and let them use me as a way to fill the gap left by my sister's death? I'm trying to figure out if I was being selfish in my own grief, or if I was just standing up for myself for once. So AITA,